All right, are you guys ready for our last group of the day? Yeah. We have artificial intelligence and robotics. So please welcome our panel, moderated by Michael Torosian of DLA Piper. So come on up.
So thanks again, Denise. I'm back for another. Couldn't help it. So I'm excited to be moderating another panel on Mike Torosian with DLA Piper, and we're really excited for to meet the companies. What I'd like to do, I've already introduced myself to you folks, but I'd love the panelists to just give a quick introduction of themselves, and then we'll get started with the companies.
Hey, I'm Gareth Keane. I'm an investor with the team at Qualcomm Ventures. We are Qualcomm's captive corporate venture arm. We deploy about $200 million a year into startup companies around the world. We have done a lot of work in robots and autonomy and AI in general. Some of our recent exits you guys might be familiar with are companies like Fitbit, Cruise Automation, GM just acquired a couple of weeks ago. Other companies you guys might know are companies like Xiaomi in China, 3D Robotics here in Berkeley. Yeah, very interested in the segment in general. Thank you.
I'm Andra, Managing Director of Silicon Valley Robotics, and we're the industry group supporting the process of innovation and commercialization. So for us, it's all about getting robotics out of the research lab and into the real world and supporting companies as they go through that. You know, it used to be a very tricky process, but we're finding the pace of change in robotics and AI is accelerating very rapidly at the moment. And it used to be a well-kept secret, but there is probably more happening in robotics and AI in this part of the world than anywhere else. And I mean Silicon Valley rather than, say, Boston or Pittsburgh, which are traditionally seen as the heartland of robotics. Not anymore.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Anderson. I'm a solutions architect with IBM Watson. My focus primarily in the Bay Area is helping our partners and our customers integrate with Watson Developer Cloud Services.
Hi, everyone. I'm Neil Devani. I'm with a firm called Rothenburg Ventures. We're based in San Francisco. We invest in virtual reality, artificial intelligence, robotics, drones, things like that, the category that's becoming to be known as frontier technology. And we're one of the most active investors in that space.
That's great. Thank you very much for those introductions. Clearly, we have a great panel for today, for today's last part of the event here. So, Denise, should I turn it over to you for introducing the companies? Thanks.
Okay. From Canada, please give it up for Arvind Tangirala from Singolar. Woo-woo!
Hi, I'm Arvind Tangirala from Introducing Singolar. We are now in an era of applied AI right now. So machine intelligence is replacing a lot of very common human activities. Siri used to do some very basic, simple tasks, but now personal assistants can order flowers, book a hotel room, and do many more activities with very few, very simple voice commands. What if such a technology was available for businesses to solve their day-to-day problems? Today, such technology exists. Introducing Singo, a smart assistant for advanced analytics. But first, why do we need a bot for a business? The answer is simple. Decision makers are not receiving the right information at the right time. On one hand, they have massive amounts of data. On the other hand, traditional analytics is slow, hard, and inefficient. More importantly, business users should not have to go to programmers or consultants to get their data questions answered. We believe that technology should learn from the data and advise the users, as opposed to users learning a technology to make use of their data. So that's why we created Singo. So what is Singo? So Singo is an AI-enabled assistant specifically for CRM analytics that digests your data, listens to your social chatter, understands English, and communicates graphically and helps you on your CRM journey. It is a bot that makes analytics simple, easy, and fun. With Singo, analytics becomes conversational, collaborative, and it also enables real-time course corrections. Let's take a look. So John Smith is admissions director at a university, and he just wants to know how his conversion metrics are doing. So what he does is he goes up to Singo and just asks the question in plain English, and Singo responds with a conversion funnel. Then he has an additional question about a very specific metric, and Singo understands the context of the question and responds accordingly. Now, John is concerned that his conversion rates are very low, and he asks Singo for recommendations on how to fix the issue. And Singo responds with the recommendations. John reviews this information and decides to share this conversation he has been having with Singo with his business analyst, Sarah, so she can take further action. So when Sarah logs into Singo, she sees this conversation John has shared with her in her home feed. She then continues the conversation and asks for additional details on this specific metric. Satisfied with the recommendations Singo has made, she asks Singo to create an email campaign for the computer science department. So basically what happened here is analytics became collaborative and conversational at the same time, and also actionable because the analyst was able to take immediate action. It's not just collaboration. With Singo, you also make analytics proactive or preemptive, if you will. Users will get a feed with current trends and predictions on the business data. Each card in the feed is fully interactive and allows you to drill down into that particular context. Here, the user wants to know how to improve his retention rates, and the system came back with the top influencing factors. Here, the user was interested to know why a particular prediction was made, and Singo came back with the rationale for making that prediction. Singo learns continuously from data and adapts to the changing environment. So what this means is that businesses can take the first steps properly, but if things don't go according to plan, then they can make some course corrections. Now, there are a lot of companies that are in AI right now, and we have a lot of feature overlap with some of these companies. But we believe that we have a superior user experience by allowing the business user to ask advanced questions on their data in plain English, using their common business vocabulary, and then getting immediate responses. We also have proprietary deep learning algorithms that model the customer behavior across the customer life cycle. With regards to traction, we did a few pilots last year and earlier this year in telecom, media, and higher ed. We are currently implementing predictions and recommendations for University of Leicester, which will go live next month, and we are excited about that. Our go-to-market strategy was basically to focus on a niche that was underserved in analytics and be a disruptor in that space. So we chose higher ed for that space and partnered with Azurus. Azurus is a higher ed CRM company from Canada that has 3+ clients in Europe and North America. So they are building an advanced version of their product called Smart Analytics, powered by Singo, and taking it to their customer base. We also want to get into financial services market next by partnering with CRM vendors and exploring partnership with SI companies. Finally, our team has a combined 60+ years of experience in the industry. Suman, the CEO, and myself have known each other for 25+ years, and Anil has had a successful exit of his own. All three of us are graduated from the top school in India, IIT. And with regards to funding, we expect to close $500K next month and are looking to raise $1 million in the next 3 to 6 months. Thank you very much.
Anyone want to take the first question?
Go ahead. Sure. So thank you. This is great. Very, very broad approach. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the data, how you ingest it, how you normalize it, and how you stay so broad.
Yeah, so basically, we're not building connector sources. We are getting the information and building a semantic model. So ultimately, our deep learning algorithms run on a model that is disconnected from the actual schema of your source systems. We are working with partners, and we want to expand connector to say Salesforce and SAP and Dynamics and so on. But we ourselves are not building the connectors per se. Once we do get the feed in, right now it is flat files and other mechanisms, because Right now, we have white labeled our product with Azorus, and we are in fact co-located with them from a deployment point of view. So we get data through database as well as through CSV files, and then we also have connectors to social media. But fundamentally, the point is that we make a logical and semantic model of the data sources that we connect to rather than really hard code it, so to speak, with the specific endpoint source system.
Got it. So are you also then like relocating and warehousing the data in your own schema?
No,
Or
actually, there are
that's
two.
the semantic model.
Yeah, so we have a SaaS model, so where obviously we have to bring in the data, but we also have an on-premise model where the solution goes to the data.
Got it.
And we locate it there.
Got it.
Can I ask a little bit about the market you're chasing after first? Higher ed is a terrible market to sell into. What's that sort of sales process and sales cycle
Yeah,
been
it's
like?
it's a very long sales cycle, but I think that's why we chose a strategic partner in
Sure.
Azorus, because they already had a captive customers. We got all the data we wanted to train our models. And in fact, wherever we go, to every university we talk to, they're very excited seeing this technology and they want to immediately sign on. But we could not really accept some pilots because we just didn't have the capacity. But with expected funding next month, we hope to do more pilots, just like we did. And each of these pilots are paid pilots. They're not free. But yes, higher ed is a long sales cycle, but given this unique partnership with this CRM company with a captive customer base, we chose that route.
And can I ask, who's your typical customer? Is it the CMO? Is it the CIO?
Yeah, it's a CMOs, and in higher ed it was the admissions director.
Okay.
So basically we are selling to recruitment universities that want to recruit the right students and then make sure they accept the offer and enroll in the university. So we are talking to the admission directors. And
I like that you've got a very strong deep dive into one particular sector and partnership.
right.
But it might be very tricky to grow into working with some of the other CRMs and some of the other fields. What plan do you have for managing that?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I think the core idea that I think we'll deploy there is the semantic model. So I was explaining before, I think we basically are training our models on a logical model, like a graph of entities, if you will, with relations between them. So yes, there will be a transformation needed from say Salesforce or if SAP, we have to sort of map the data. But we are hoping that there will be connectors that will ingest the data. Right now, on our roadmap, we have a feature where we want to apply machine learning even to the transformation. There are 3 areas where we can potentially apply machine learning. We want to make the UI itself intelligent. So as we saw before, all these cards are coming up, and you can save these graphs into a dashboard. So we can actually see what kind of analytics users are doing, and then maybe bubble up the most commonly used ones or most effective ones, and into a library of widgets that then users can then drag and drop into dashboards. And we can distribute that across customers. The system can learn what kind of activity users are doing, and then create a more intelligent interface. That's one area where we can potentially apply AI. The other area is how to basically learn from the data. So of course, this is a hard challenge. I mean, we are not discounting that, but getting disparate data sources and sort of learning some structure from them and translating them into some semantic model is not an easy problem to solve. But I think once you have the target semantic model constructed, maybe you can supervise some of the learning to make sure that the data you're receiving can be mapped into your model. But I don't know if I really answered your question, but I think what I'm saying...
You did on the technical side, but also in terms of understanding the new market areas that you'd need to move into. That's...
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. So the deep learning models themselves are agnostic. They don't care whether it's financial or it's higher ed, right? I mean, they just want to represent the knowledge that they are given in the training set. So we want to adapt it to a vertical as a specific solution. So this horizontal platform can be applied to the vertical markets also, but we will need, the initial training will be harder, but once you deploy it to more customers in the same domain, then you see that the timelines are reducing, because once you set up this model for them, see for example, an NLP layer, you have to train in that particular domain's business vocabulary.
Have you sort of verified that? I mean, a lot of companies won't want their data being used to enable somebody else to achieve their business process objectives, right? If you're training a model that might be specific to a customer.
Well, actually, Phil, there are some philosophical questions about that. Can you basically, if an employee is working in one company, if he moves to another company, did this machine learning, this human learning move? It's the same thing with a machine, right? I mean, if you represent the knowledge, what does it mean that we are transferring the machine? The model itself is agnostic, but we want to make sure that there is nothing here. It's basically a matrix with some weights, right? There's nothing specific about the company itself that is inherent in the data or the model that we are migrating. We are basically doing some transfer learning from one company to another. We're not really breaching any data, any data integrity or.
I think that's all the time we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Denise, the next company, when you're ready.
Please welcome from the USA, Thomas Agarate from Slick.
So I wish I was American, but I'm French, as you can hear. So I'm Thomas. I'm the CEO and founder of Slick Technologies. At Slick, we are making effortless video production for everyone. I'm an action sport lover, and I'm one of these 10 million GoPro owners. Nowadays, when I go skiing with my friends, I attach my GoPro on my helmet and I try to film them as good as I can. But I'm not a filmmaker. So at the end of the day, I have dozens of files and I don't know how to deal with them because it takes such a long time to edit those few seconds which are barely watchable. So we built Slick. Slick is a smart wearable device that can be attached on your helmet thanks to its GoPro mount. It has 3 motors, sensors, and a microcontroller to always keep the GoPro leveled. Slick is made for action sports. It's really durable and it's waterproof. At the end of the day, you have only one video, which is perfectly smooth, ready to share with your friends. People already love what we do. We have tons of traction. Few months ago, we launched a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo, and we pre-sold over 2,000 units. Right now, we have pre-sold for $500,000 of product. What is really interesting is that it's growing. Our traction is growing. Today, we are making for over $30K each month. Once we launched the campaign, we have seen few companies doing the same kind of things on crowdfunding websites, but they weren't doing as well as we did. It's because it's not as easy to use this stabilization technology. As you can see, it's been used on the cinema and put everything in a really small product as we did. So there is only one product released on the market, which is the Feyutech, but it's not waterproof, it's not durable, it's not compact, it's definitively not optimized for the action sports. Slick is not just a product, it's a complete product ecosystem. Our first product is focused on action sports since it's our expertise. But as soon as next year, we will develop products for a more global market. One stabilizer for VR cameras and one stabilizer for smartphones. It's a global market. We're reaching $350 billion market here. Meet our lovely team. Paolo is our industrial designer. He has 20 years of experience in industrial manufacturing. He is in China right now to supervise the production. Lancelot is our hardware engineer. He is in our office in Santa Cruz, and he is leading the research and development. I am a drone and gimbal expert. I'm 23 years old, and I've been building drones and stabilization hardware for cameras for over 6 years. About the timeline, so until today we are self-founded, and we already have reached the first milestone. We have proved that the market is real. We have pre-sold 2,000 units. We are now about to start production, and we will deliver our early adopters at the end of this year for Christmas. Early next year, we will develop the product for the stabilizer for smartphones and VR cameras. The margins are fantastic. We are selling the product at a retail price of $279, and the bill of material is $84. It's more than a 70% margin. So until today, we're self-funded. We have reached the first milestone. Now we want to set up the scalable production line before the end of the year, and we want to hire a new team to grow and to develop the next features for the next products. We are looking for a 2 million seed round on a convertible note. We have the traction. We already have the product without being funded. We have everything. We just need a little help right now. So thank you very much. This is Slick.
How many prototypes do you have
Deployed now?
So I have right here one prototype, which is the one we have presented on Indiegogo, which is working quite good. We have now 3 prototypes, which are almost working and almost ready for production. And we're starting production at the end of next month in China.
Can I ask a question about one of the other interesting techniques you can use for stuff like this is digital stabilization. You've seen companies like Revel, which are producing sort of a digitally stabilized version of an action camera. What do you think your sustainable advantage is with a sort of motor, microcontroller, gimbal-based solution over time?
Yeah, so basically, the software stabilization is working pretty good. But for example, if you're doing action sports and you're riding that way and you're watching at your friend that way and you're going back, the software stabilization cannot do anything. And more than that, it's cropping in the image. So all the action cameras, they are making 4K product. But at the end of the day, if you are willing to spend 6 hours to edit a 2-minute video and to stabilize the video, you will need to crop the video and you won't have HD video anymore. So with that product, you don't need any stabilization afterward. You just have the video ready to share with your friends.
And how about sort of selecting the interesting parts of a 6-hour video? Have you guys thought about the software solution to actually pull out the 2 or 3 minutes of footage that I actually want?
Can you repeat, please?
The software piece to help pull out the interesting footage. So if I have a 6-hour video and I want to pull out those 2 or 3 minutes of highlights, any thoughts around how to help people do that?
Yeah, basically they won't need to edit the video anymore, since they will have only great footages. And right now we just have the stabilization, but as soon as next year we will have also tracking capabilities. So you will just select this moment is good, this moment is good, this moment is good. I want a 2-minute video, share on Facebook or wherever. People don't have the skills, they don't have the time to edit complex videos, and they just want to have fun, to focus on action and to share the videos then.
So going the other direction from digital stabilization, like there are pretty good purely mechanical gimbals. Why do those not do the trick? What's the advantage to using a digital one?
So basically here we are disrupting this market because our gimbal is wearable. That means that it has a GoPro mount and you can attach it anywhere you would attach your action camera. And all the mechanical gimbals, they have a handle, and you don't want something in your hands. If you're doing any action sport, you don't want to carry something in your hand. And more than that, it's big because you need a counterweight under it. And our product is really small. If you want to come by our booth, I could show you. And it's really small, it's really light. And even if you have some winds and other perturbation, because you have strong motors, which are really small, you have a perfect video at the end of the day.
Did you already go through the process of trying to design a wearable mechanical gimbal?
All the industrial design is done. Everything is done for this product. If it was your question.
I meant, did you yourself? You said you designed gimbals before. I was asking. It sounded like you have already gone through the process of trying to design a wearable mechanical gimbal.
I've done a lot of gimbal for drones,
Yeah.
so it was for professional market, with wires everywhere and things. Here, the challenge was to put everything in a beautiful product for mass market, so just an on-off button and micro USB rechargeable. But I have the expertise for the gimbal, and Paolo has the expertise for the industrial design and the manufacturing process then.
So if you guys have spent time in Shenzhen, you know that it's very easy for a Chinese factory to build a copy of something very, very quickly. How long do you think you can protect this and sort of stop it being copied by some factory in the Far East?
Yeah, so we're working
I guess
on
my question is, how long do you think those margins will last? How long before you get commoditized and sort of pushed down to a 10% business?
Yeah, so we are working on some patents, but more than that, we are especially focusing on the marketing. We just hired the former CMO of DJI, and we will be the first on the market. It's the very first waterproof gimbal, and I personally have a really strong relationship with all the top 1 athletes in the world, and they all love the product, so they will spread the word like in few days when we will release the product at the end of this year. So we're thinking on reaching the market like this and being a strong brand, and then we will spread the mass with the smartphone stabilizer and the VR camera stabilizer, especially for VR, because when you watch a VR video and you're sat down on your seat and it's like a museum visit and the person is moving, you just want to puke off because. So I will work with Lucid to have this product ready for next year.
That was my question as well. You have got a great campaign, but are you an ongoing company? How are you going to realize that the competition will come at you? You need to be a brand. And where are you looking for partnerships? You've already answered part of that, but are there others that you're considering?
Sorry?
Other partnerships that you're considering?
I feel that if we have a strong marketing strategy and we have a strong relationship with all the influencers in action sport in the world, it's a nice start to reach the market with that. But I'm happy to get some feedback about that and some advice.
Can you talk a little bit about your distribution plans? You're going to be direct distributing, working through channels?
Yes. So we have 2 contacts with 2 major distributors right now. One is the exclusive GoPro distributor in Europe, which is Extreme Video. They love our product, they love our marketing, and they're willing to distribute the product everywhere a GoPro is in Europe. And PNY is a global distributor in the USA. They're also willing to buy a first 10,000 product to test the market, and then to distribute the product at Best Buy and all of them. And more than that, in July we're starting an accelerator, Axe Boost, to be on all the retailers and brick and mortars in the US.
I think that's all the time we have. Thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next up from Portugal, please welcome Andra Pimenta for Perfometric.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Andra. I'm CEO of Perfometric, a real-time monitoring system for mental fatigue management that works in a totally non-invasive and non-intrusive way. I'm sure all of you know the importance of mental fatigue and its impacts, but I'm sure that only few of you have real concerns about mental fatigue, about human performance and the impact of in mental health. And Perfometric can help with that. It's a solution that allows to improve employee productivity and performance, can help organizations with cost savings and staff retention, and helps to improve personal work-life balance. A company with near from 5,000 employees have a potential to reduce 8 million per year managing mental fatigue. How it works? We use the mouse and keyboard as a sensors. We can extract behavioral biometrics like key downtime, mouse accuracy. With that information and using machine learning algorithms, we can create profile for the user, and our system is able to analyze human performance and translate it in 7 different levels of mental fatigue. We have a provisional patent about our process to detect mental fatigue. So this process allows to system adapt to the user, but also to the context. It is not necessary any extra sensor. It's a software that runs a software as a service on-premise solution, where we provide data reports and analytics for team managers and set of alerts and recommendations for the end user. And with that recommendations, we proved that we can reduce mental fatigue. We performed some pilot tests where we proved that we used two groups, a group with our recommendation system and other group without our recommendation system, and we proved that it's possible to reduce mental fatigue with our system. With this system, looks like a battery for our mental health, and with our recommendations, we can say to you what is the best moment to stop or take a break. How we are making money with this? We are selling Perfometric in a subscription model based on the number of users. And these are some companies that are already paying and testing our software, like Volkswagen, Deloitte, Concentric, Sovion, Andra, and Microsoft Portugal. They are using Perfometric for their HR departments, for corporative wellness, for their call centers and 24/7 services. Why we are unique? Again, because we provide data in real time, in a non-invasive and non-intrusive, and without any extra sensor. For this year, we are looking for investment to allow us to achieve more than 10,000 paying users, release the mobile version, look to B2C market, and make some wearables integrations. This is possible through a team with a lot of knowledge in computer science and artificial intelligence, in the research, but also in management and innovation. Thank you for your attention. If you have some questions, please feel free visit us in our demo station. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to go first?
I can ask a question. I saw one of your roadmap goals for this year is to get to 10,000 users. How many paying users do you have right now?
Yeah, we have near from 500 paying users. But we are looking for investment to create a sales team. We have only guys from computer science. We achieved these numbers without any marketing and sales team.
So correct me if this is an incorrect assumption, but it seems that you're logging keystrokes and mouse movements.
Exactly.
Where are you storing the raw data, and how do you deal with the security concerns around that?
Yeah, we collect the data from keyboard and mouse, but we process that data in the agent. So we only send for our server numbers, doubles, like key downtime, 18 milliseconds, mouse acceleration, 2 pixels per millisecond. So it's totally safely. And there is no problems with privacy and security issues.
And then can you talk a little bit about the scoring system you have around the testing and validation?
Yes.
Like a 0 to 5 scale.
Yeah, we are using USM fatigue scale. Was created in a US medicine school that have 7 different levels of mental fatigue, from fully alert to exhausted. Is like a norm for mental fatigue systems. We have scientific validation. I started this project 5 years ago in my PhD. And during that time, we realized a lot of validations, like using electroencephalograms at the same time, our system to prove the accuracy of our algorithm.
Could you also, sorry to keep going here, but talk a little bit, if you could, about expanding beyond the professional context. So fatigue is a huge issue in industries where there's a lot more danger to being tired. So oil and gas, mining, manufacturing, trucking. Have you thought about going into there with something similar? If so, what would you do?
Yeah, I call it 24/7 services, like pipeline industry, air traffic controllers. In that areas, mental fatigue is very critical, so it's a big concern. We have a partner in Texas that are helping us to make some contacts with pipeline industry, and also in Europe we are negotiating with one of the biggest distributed software for air traffic controls, but is the vertical that we are starting now working.
Could I ask a question about the ROI? You mentioned a sort of $8 million ROI for a company with 5,000 employees. Has anybody actually measured that and given sort of true data that you can point to?
Yeah, I get that numbers from Journal of Medicine on Occupation from United States.
Okay, but none of your customers have validated
No,
the true ROI.
that is from a report that I get on the internet.
Your 500 paid users right now, what's the breakdown between HR, CRM, and other use cases?
Well, almost of them are from HR departments. For example, in Microsoft Portugal, they are using for their contact center. They have a contact center for Soul of Europe, and they want to use Perfometric to have an idea about mental state of their team, but to manage their breaks and have a more motivated team.
So it's still early days for CRM and exploring that use case.
Yes.
How do you think about competition and another software service provider building a similar module just within their product?
Well, for workspace and especially for computer uses and mobile uses, there is no direct competition. There is like a company that I showed in the presentation, like Emotive, is a device to read brain waves, but is very intrusive, and we are trying to gain our competition being totally non-invasive and non-intrusive, and with any costs with sensors. So you have your computer, you only need to install our software, and software will learn with you how you use your computer, and it is working.
Have you considered the competition from eye tracking or other vision systems?
Yes, in the driving case, eye track systems are very used, but we are not focused on driving solutions. For workspace, I believe use a camera is not, well, it's very intrusive, and there is another problems with facial recognition between races. Asians, Africans, Europeans have a different expressions, and there is a problem with light processing, needs height processing, so I believe it's not a good solution for workspace.
Okay. Have you had to deal with it being considered intrusive, just the more passive monitoring that you're doing with keyboard and mouse?
Yeah, we have concerns about that, and for example, for team manager in HR departments, we provide aggregated data to avoid questions about Big Brother and privacy of the employee. Only the end user can see their own data, so the managers depends. For example, in 24/7 services, we can provide data in an individual way because it's a critical task, but in the other areas, we provide data in aggregated way to avoid that questions.
I think we're out of time with that. Thanks very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
So do we have one more, Denise?
Yep.
All
Our
right.
last presentation of the day comes from Mexico. Please welcome. Please welcome Ernesto Rodriguez Leal with WeaRobot.
Mexico's in the house.
Three years ago, my dad started losing his mobility. He couldn't walk properly, he couldn't raise his arms. He had 2 major surgeries and hundreds of hours of rehabilitation, but his condition didn't improve completely. Modern medicine has failed my dad to help him recover his mobility. This story might be very familiar to you all because my dad is just one of the 600 million senior citizens in the world. And guess what? By year 2050, we are all going to be 2 billion of them. The elderly have a serious problem of mobility loss, and we want to help them. One option is to send them for rehabilitation, but the process really sucks. It's expensive, it's painful, it's not accessible, and it's not uniform. So together with my team, we were thinking about a solution, and we said, how about if we give them Ironman suits so we can improve their mobility? Now, Ironman is fiction, but we have created and patented an active exoskeleton, just like this one, which can be used either as a motion assistant for everyday activity or as a rehabilitation device. And this is how it works. By 3D scanning the body, we are able to find the rotational axis of the joints for a proper setup. Then, by applying our patent modularity concept, we're able to break apart the exoskeleton in order to be used for specific joints. for the shoulder, knee, elbow. The parts can assemble each other to form a full body exoskeleton in cases needed. By taking brain and muscle signals, we are able to identify the precise instant in which the user requires torque in the joints, and we do this in a non-invasive way. In fact, we have developed our own hardware for picking EMG and EEG signals in order to reduce the cost for the users and for improve the user experience. By integrating augmented reality, we are able to create 3D scenarios that they are linked to the rehabilitation process, so we can have a more engaging experience and to reduce the rehabilitation time. In fact, the exoskeleton, it's an Internet of Things device itself. We can take information about the pose, the orientation, the activity, brain and muscle activity, send them to an application so the physician can have a better understanding of what's going on with the rehabilitation process, and even can be exported to other platforms such as Watson. There are other exoskeletons out there. We're not the only ones. But we are different than the others because we offer a full body, modular exoskeleton that takes brain and muscle signals for control purposes, and we also integrate augmented reality for improving the rehabilitation. Our business model is super simple. We want to sell directly to clinical centers and hospitals. Currently, our cost for production is $5,600. We plan to sell for $50,000, and our closest competitor is the ReWalk that sells for $67,000. We have validated this with more than 120 physicians, clinical centers, administrators, nurses, and eventually we want to go to sell directly to end users, and we think that we can achieve economies of scale and sell for $12,000. We have right now more than 1,600 users that have subscribed for our clinical trials that started 2 weeks ago. The market is vibrant. It's going to reach $300 million by the year 2020, and we want to take a part of this. Right now, we look for an investment opportunity of $1.2 million, so it can help us continue our clinical trials to go for FDA approval and to refine our technology. This is a very complex project, but we have a solid team that combines technical, business, and clinical skills. My name is Ernesto Rodriguez Leal, and I'm the CEO and founder of WeaRobot. I have a PhD in robotics, and this is my third technology startup. And together with my team, we have the objective of democratizing this technology because we want to empower our users. Just like my dad, they can continue doing the things that they really loved when they were young. And why not? To explore new challenges and dreams. Our dream is to end with the physical disparity that is affecting or will affect each one of us in a given point of our time. But this is not a dream anymore. This is WeaRobot. We make you move. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. First question?
Yeah, can I ask a question about Medicaid and Medicare? One of the interesting things about ReWalk was they just got approved for reimbursement. Have you guys anybody's gone through that process before? It's a pretty complex thing, right? That whole insurer-insuree.
Yes, exactly. That's one of our objectives. The ReWalk and the Indego they have been a very good role models for us. Mm-hmm. In this case, we are the second mouse. We will go for an FDA 510K. We also want a reimbursement code. However, we're starting in Mexico since we have the market validated. When we conduct our clinical trials and we have clinical data, we want to apply for FDA 510K.
Gotcha.
Can you help me understand the difference between the motion assistant and the rehabilitation devices, especially in the rehab hospitals, clinical? Do the devices, if I can't lift my arms above my head, is the device helping me through rehab over multiple weeks develop those muscles and encourage me to build my own muscles out, or will it actually lift my arms above my head for me if I can't do it on my own?
Yes, we are running with, the control loop takes brain signals, and we use machine learning, 2 layers of a neural network, in order to classify motion. We can predict the intent of motion of the user. And then we take as a feedback the muscle signals in order to know what is the torque requirement in every single joint. So our goal is, when we use it as a motion assistant, is to provide the torque that is needed in the moment.
Okay.
We're focusing on senior citizens. We want the senior citizens to carry out daily life activities.
So you're learning off my brain signals when I'm trying to, during the train session, to try to get my arms up, and then I can keep trying to lift them higher, and the device will help my arms in
Yeah,
time
it's
raise high.
progressive, and it's adaptive, and also it requires a calibration period. Yes.
Okay.
How intrusive, again, is the headset that you're using? Can you describe that?
Yeah, we started also with an emotive Epoch headset. We also have experience with Neuroelectrics, with Gtech, other similar devices, and we use, let's say, we have developed our own hardware in order to have dry surface electrodes to pick up the EEG signals.
So you're targeting this area of the scalp, but you're doing it with dry. Okay.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about the power source and the transfer of power? What are you using, like actuators or pulleys?
Yes.
Or what?
The power source is a common challenge for everybody that is in this business, obviously. One of the big opportunity areas here is the battery life. We have the same batteries as the rest of the guys in the market, and we are looking for probably 2 hours autonomy of battery. Talking about the actuators as well, one of the things that we are doing different than the others is that we are not using, at the moment, brushless motors and harmonic drives, but we are kind of hacking auto parts or auto DC motors in order to lower down the costs. And that's what we're exploring right now. We are very focused on compliance so that the EXO is compliant, that it can move when it's off.
How heavy is, say, just the upper body system, and how heavy would the full body system be? And how heavy is the headset?
Yeah, well, the headset is in the order of the 100 grams probably, or even it can be lighter, considering the power source and also the electronics. And we're exploring other materials for the exoskeleton. We're using, of course, aluminum, but also carbon fiber to make it lighter. And we think that the EXO can be close to 12 kilograms.
Any thoughts about sort of workforce augmentation? That's one of the sectors we're really interested in, is sort of the way that you can sort of use these exoskeletons to enhance logistics, warehousing, good transportation. Have you guys thought about expanding outside of medical?
Yeah, actually, we're collaborating. We have a kind of side projects collaborating with industry. We're collaborating with 2 companies that we're developing industrial versions of the exoskeleton for them that can lift up to 70 kilos. And also we're exploring the other side.
Can you do that with electrical actuators? Do you have to go hydraulic? Like, is it going
probably using the DC brushless motors and harmonic drives, we can also get some more, like 120 Newton meter per actuator. So we are evaluating that at the moment. Probably we'll have to migrate to hydraulic actuators. And we're also exploring the other end, the one that is passive exoskeleton, for like the one that I'm wearing here actually today. It's instrumented, and it can pick all the information for other applications such as gaming or even for space. We are talking with NASA about developing together an exoskeleton for space that is passive and can give information about the range of motion of the astronaut.
Do you think your first 100 units are probably going to be sales to hospitals, or a mix of?
Well, we really want to sell to hospitals and clinical centers. That's the main goal. However, it's easier to go on the non-regulated applications such as gaming. In fact, we are launching this fall an Indiegogo campaign of the exoskeleton that I'm wearing today. That it will be, many things will be open. So probably the software will allow other developers to interact with us, to also play ball with us. And yeah, that can be also another revenue stream that we can use for conducting our clinical trials as well, and regulation.
I think that might be a fruitful thing to look at. I think aiming at the elderly and infirm is perhaps the worst thing to get wrong, as it were. And I think that there are some advances happening in the area of soft and flexible exoskeletons that are maybe more promising for that use case. But certainly if you've got a good brain headset, then that alone is something that's missing in the market at the moment.
Indeed it is, yes.
I think that's all the time we have, so thanks very much.
Thank you.